they playing out here. Oh, shit.
Damn, Slim. It's 5 fucking police cars, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 police, man. 1 nigga in a car, y'all. Hey, Mo. All about to go to jail.
3 things to know about Trump calling in the National Guard to D.C. Number 1, Trump is saying it's because of crime in D.C. being so bad, but crime rates have been dropping, and actually by the most they have dropped ever in D.C. 2, so what is this really about? Calling in the National Guard when Trump didn't call the National Guard in when the Capitol was actually under attack? And yes, it has to be the federal National Guard called in because DC's not technically a state. But again, the Capitol was under attack and he didn't call in the DC National Guard. And 3, autocrats and monarchs type people, they like to take over a capital city, make it all about them as a message to the rest of the country about who is really in charge. If it sounds like martial law, maybe it is, because that's the state of our nation today.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Shalom. I would like to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakradash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you sincere Akim, pushing his word across the 4 corners of the world. Just another news update through the spirit, the power, and the vibration of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. And just a quick news update through the spirit concerning this Donald Trump's federal control takeover in D.C. and where he's going to utilize his executive authority to seize the city's police force. And he also fired the mayor. And as of today, August the 13th, 2025, he requested for a long-term extension of the D.C. police takeover, where he will be deploying Federal National Guard under direct federal control. And it's all within the guise of crime control and homelessness within D.C., which is a federal district, by the way, not an actual state. And this situation could very well be proving grounds and more so a test trial for future federalized police states within America. And a lot of people, especially the ones of our people, are acting surprised by putting their so-called support and votes or vow into him, but he just really showcasing who he really is according to the Bible, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And he's only doing the bidding of the higher ups of Esau Edom. And it's no coincidence, this same Donald Trump, some years ago throughout his first presidential campaign, he kept reading the snake poem throughout his different presidential campaigns or rallies. And this snake poem is simply about a half-frozen snake that was found on the side of the road, and a woman rescued it, took it home, cared for it, and pretty much revived it back to life. So when that snake got back within good condition, it bit the woman. And she cried out, like, "Why did you bite me?" And that snake or serpent simply replied, "You knew I was a damn snake when you brought me in." Then she later died from that lethal bite. So again, it's no coincidence that Donald Trump kept reading that snake poem throughout his different presidential rallies some years ago. And that's because that snake or serpent signifies Donald Trump. And that woman can be symbolized for you Americans, especially the 2/3 of our people within America. And you are very rebellious, and you put all your trust, your heart, and your soul into Pharaoh's protection, which in this sense can be President Donald Trump. And now a lot of people, especially the 2/3 of our people, are having Trump regrets. You know, the ones that put their so-called support and vote into him, which goes into a vow. So as it's stated within Isaiah 30:3, by trusting in Pharaoh, you will be humiliated. And by depending on him, you will be disgraced. And that's because this devil, Donald Trump, which is a biblical Edomite, are really about to show their horns. That they are definitely the devil that the Bible speaks about. And that takes me right to the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord Yahweh had made. And that serpent wasn't an actual snake or serpent. It was a cunning, deceitful man that had the spirit of Satan on him. And he was more subtle than any beast of the field, which means that he was very crafty, devious, very artful in deception. And that beast of the field goes into these other nations. Like no other nation can outlie or outdeceive Esau Edom, because that spirit of the serpent is within the biblical Edomites, who are the so-called Caucasian race within today's time, and where Donald Trump happens to be one. So he was very crafty how he charmed Eve. Like within modern terms, he ran game upon her. He finessed her. She fell for the wiles of the devil. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Elohim said, ye should not eat of every tree of the garden. So when you fast forward that to this day of time, concerning Donald Trump, he's making those smooth speeches about saying how he vows to crack down on the DC crime and homelessness, and how he wants to revive his nation, America. But within 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3, it's stated when they should say peace and safety, then sudden destruction coming upon them, as travail upon a woman with child. And it's definitely commanded for us as the biblical Israelites to never trust our enemy. And our main biblical arch enemy is the tabernacle of Esau Edom, again, who Donald Trump steals from. And as you saw from this opening video of another devil, also an Edomite by the name of President George H.W. Bush. And he made that speech back within September the 11th, 1991, the New World Order speech. And what did he state? How it's going to be a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle. Because right now, like within modern society, the so-called powers that be, they consider this modern society as the law of the jungle. Like, in other words, it's lawless. It's a cesspool of crime, homelessness, rebellion, disorder, all types of chaos. And this is nothing but a manipulative method on the masses, a PRS, which is problem, reaction, solution, a Hegelian dialectic, where the so-called powers that be, they create the problem, they incite a public reaction, and they offer a predetermined solution, which is ultimately going to be the NWO. So again, that's why President George H.W. Bush stated, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. And as you can see with Trump, along with his technocrats, they're pushing forth AI governance, automation, which is a part of these two new bills, the Genius Act and also the Big Beautiful Bill, which is ultimately going to lead into the MOTB, the microchip, as it's stated within Revelation, the 13th chapter, and the 16th verse, how he calls it all, to receive their mark. So these smooth speeches about Liberation Day within DC or making America great again, it's all aligning up to this NWO agenda. And that takes me right to Deuteronomy 32, verse 33. Their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asp. So their wine is going into the philosophy of Esau Edom, like his different principles, beliefs, his systems, doctrines, his grievous laws, like anything that these biblical Edomites embodies, it's all poison. It's toxic for your well-being, especially if you are a biblical Israelite. Because going back to this federalized police takeover, right now it's starting off within DC, and he did mention Baltimore, Chicago, LA, New York, and also Oakland, which are predominantly so-called minority populated cities where you biblical Israelites mostly resides at. So again, this is no coincidence. So their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asp. And an asp is a venomous snake. Again, hence Donald Trump kept reading the snake poem throughout his first presidential campaign. Which is why the so-called Native Americans who are from the tribe of Gad, they were very notorious calling the so-called white people forked tongues. Because they knew when he speaks or promotes something, it's all based on lies. And that's why it's stated within Psalm 52 verse 2, how thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. And the vast majority of our people are definitely going to learn the hard way by putting your trust into Esau Edom and being mesmerized by his smooth words, those smooth speeches. And that takes me right to the book of Proverbs 4 and 13 within the NLT, and that's the New Living Translation. Take fast hold of instruction, let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. And that's by tapping into the righteousness of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, which is why it's stated within Baruch 4 and 1, how this is the book of the commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, and the law that endureth forever. And all they that keep it should come to life. And it goes on to say, take hold of it and walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. And that's only through the gift of the Holy Spirit, by Yahushua supping with you, through the assistance of the holy angels. And once you apply Yahushua, you will learn how to walk in wisdom toward them that are without. So take fast hold of instruction, let her not go, keep her, for she is thy life. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. And that's beginning with the tabernacle of Esau Edom. Like whatever they publicly promote, encourage, or try to recommend you unto something, through the Spirit, you cannot be enticed. Because again, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. So enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. So through the Spirit, when Esau tells you to go this route, you should already have it instilled in your mind to go the opposite way. Like for instance, look how he forced the masses to accept the juice. And look at the mass casualties pursued after their promotion. Verse 16, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. Which links up with Micah 2 and 1 about woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, and how the morning is light they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So through these turbulent, critical times that are approaching, we have to be mindful of the scriptures. Like it tells us about Esau's ways, his agendas, and just his nature as a whole. And you just want to put it in a nutshell, never trust thy enemy. Verse 17, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence, which is that Babylonian wine. And some of those toxic ingredients within that Babylonian wine is Esau's democracy, his westernization, his feminism, his way of life, his religion, his culture, his different wayward doctrines. Like anything that he embodies, again, is based on wickedness and lies. And that's why so many people who put their so-called support and vote into him, a lot of them are uploading videos on social media, and now they have a thing called Trump regrets. And that's because they did not utilize wisdom according to the standard of Yahushua to simply figure that out. And throughout this DC takeover and future federalized police states within America, he's going to trip up a lot of people with those smooth speeches, like getting rid of crime, homelessness, or deporting the so-called illegals out. Like according to the masses, that sounds good, but the more that you all are screaming, get the illegals out, the so-called powers that be are closing you Americans in with this near police state. Verse 18, but the path of the just which goes into the Israel of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, the elect of the nation of Israel, is as the shining light that shining more and more unto the perfect day. And that perfect day is going to be when the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, dispatches Yahushai to uproot Esau out of power, out of rulership. And Yahushua is going to orchestrate a righteous Build Back Better plan, or a new world order. And as the sincere delegates of Yahushua, hey, that's what we looking forward to. Because the way that things are going on right now, and the momentum of wickedness that he's currently in, it's literally not going to be any flesh saved. And that takes me right to Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. And just like how we on the right-hand side of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai are measuring the times diligently within itself, like paying attention to current events, current news, and filtering out with the Holy Scriptures, you best believe that the so-called powers that be on the left-handed side, via their left-handed priesthood, are measuring the times diligently within itself as well. And they are very hip to those miraculous signs that are currently taking place right now within these end times, like the so-called UFO sightings, and they very well know that their time of rulership or governance is about to come to an abrupt end. And concerning this DC federal takeover, the way that they are moving, by the end of the year, the rest of those predominantly minority cities can very well be federalized police states by the end of the year. You best believe that they're going to add more cities to it, because at the end of the day, this is going to be a global takeover, this fourth industrial revolution, or this NWO. And with that being said, the so-called powers that be on the left-handed side, they know that their time of rulership or governance is about to be up. So that concludes the lesson through the Spirit. Just continue to be vigilant, be attentive, and just be on our watch, as Yahushua commanded us to do. So with that, hopefully you all was edified, you all stay strong, keep pushing forward. Shalom.